Alright, I'm here with another discussion type video. I've had this video recommended quite a few times actually in the past, and it's always been something that I've been hesitant to do and that I've never known the correct way to tackle it. This is going to be I chose my 10 most valuable games in my collection. The reason I haven't wanted to do this, I haven't been so eager to do this in the past, is that, I don't know, I didn't want it ever to appear as I was bragging. I don't really care for the wealth flaunting aspect of collecting as much as I just like to, find interesting stuff, discover stuff, and build a library has always been my primary focus. So I don't have a whole lot of stuff that's worth a ton of money. I don't have any huge heavy hitters, but I certainly have some games that are valuable, that hold value, and this stuff fluctuates though. One of the games in this video, you might be watching this 3 months from now, you might say, hey, that game's not worth nearly this much now. You're probably right about that. And that's just how it is. But at the time of recording this, on Valentine's Day 2020, this is what it looks like. So we'll go into this stuff now. Just wanted to reiterate again, not trying to brag, nothing like that. More so of just the angle I want to take with this video is, tell the story of how I got some of my more valuable games. Maybe talk about the game itself in some way. And, just discuss in general my thoughts and just, tell how much I paid for this stuff. I'm not one to, pay retail for retro stuff since I do a lot of garage sailing and, stuff like that. So I'll go through this stuff. I'll, give some discussion and love to see in the comments down below, you tell me the story of some of your most valuable games and how well you did with them, how, what kind of deal you got on them, stuff like that. So let's keep it open for discussion, and I will move into the first game here, which is Harvest Moon 64. This is complete in box. A lot of my games are as valuable as they are because I do like complete in box collecting as much as I can, and it is in a box protector in really great shape. Always drove me nuts how the Harvest Moon label, or the, spine logo is upside down. Always been kind of weird. But yeah, Harvest Moon 64, classic game. And of course, I'm very happy this is in great shape. One of my favorite things to collect is box N64 games. So the story behind this one's not too interesting. This popped up in my local game store for a pretty good deal at the time. I want to say this happened maybe 2018 now. And this popped up in my local game store for, I got it for $85. So, good find, I'd say, and good shape. But yeah, I mean, I paid for that one for sure. I'll talk prices. I have them written down here. I'm basing my prices off video game price charts, pricecharting.com. I think that's the best website for price guides. Sometimes they're a little bit conservative with their prices. Sometimes they're a little bit high, but usually, for the most part, I'd say they give you a good idea of what something goes for. So the price chart says at this point that that's worth $138. So, from 85, that's not bad. Moving on to the next one here. These first three are actually boxed N64 games, but I promise it's not all N64. This is Paper Mario, one of my all-time favorite N64 games. One of my all-time favorite, probably top 20 games of all time, somewhere in there. I think the first Paper Mario is awesome. I think it's a great RPG and just a really fun game overall. So this is another one. Something I also figure into my collection is, did I have the game before? So I did have Paper Mario before, cartridge only. So I can always, when I pick up a complete copy like this, I can always sell off my original cartridge or sell one of the cartridges and get the money back. And that's how I factor my thing. So I paid my records, which I keep in my inventory, that I paid $39 for this. I believe this was either $75, maybe 80, probably $70, $75 at my local game store, which I picked it up. I picked it up from. I think I also put some trade credit into this as well, so that is always something to keep in mind. One of my biggest suggestions, if you want to get valuable games, find your local game store, trade in your doubles, trade in the stuff you don't want to keep, the stuff not worth selling on eBay at least, and just always if you can, with your local store, I guess, I know it always varies between store to store, keep like a trade card, trade slip or something. Just let it add up over time. And, something big pops up in your store that you've been looking for. You might have it mostly paid for, if not already, all fully paid for with just trade credit. So yeah, I used some trade credit on this. This says I have 39 into it. I probably paid 39 after trade credit and didn't factor in the cartridge I sold, but I can never be certain on that one now that I'm thinking about it. But price charting has that right now at 139. So if I paid 39 and have 139, it's a nice even $100 profit. Next one is probably the most recent addition of my collection. This was a very, very good deal. This is Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. This was a pretty hard to come by N64 game, especially complete in box. It was rental only in America, at least in the North American release. I don't know if it got released other places. This was rental only at Blockbuster. As you can see, I have a big Blockbuster sticker plastered to the back of the game. But I've heard reports that you could also get this game on LucasArts' website and buy it there. And I think that's correct because I've seen copies without the Blockbuster sticker plastered onto it. I would assume it came from there. I actually passed up getting this game in the past for $35 with the instruction manual at a convention probably in 2013, 2014. And I've always regretted that. But earlier this year, I think about a month ago, this one popped up in my local game store. Really underpriced. They had it priced at just $50, which is incredibly good. And I nabbed it for $50. Price chart says it's worth $140 complete, which it is. And I sold my card-only copy that I had for a while ago. So actually I've only paid $25 for this after I sold that extra cartridge. So nice score there. Moving out of N64 now, we're going to go into a PlayStation game. Another game that I got primarily with trade credit. My records say that I paid $10 for this, so probably $10 out of pocket, the rest trade. This is Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. This is one half of Persona 2. There was also Persona 2 Innocent Sin, which I have a Japanese copy of when I got my trip to Japan. But this was kind of weird how they released this. We only got half of Persona 2 in America. The other half was not released. And I believe this is actually the second half. So that makes it even more puzzling why they released it like that. And actually for the PSP, they re-released Innocent Sin then for PSP. And they remade it for like PSP, kind of like a revamped version. And they did both parts. And in America, we only got the Innocent Sin part. We did not get the Eternal Punishment part. So for some reason, this game is just cursed of Americans being able to experience the whole game, which is a shame. But yeah, this says I paid $10 trade for it. So interestingly enough, this popped up in my local game store. Actually, funnily enough, around the time Persona 5 came out. So April of 2017, about 3 years ago almost now. And this was actually the manager of the store, who I'm friendly with him. I talked to him when he's in there. He actually traded off a ton of his collection, and this came out of it. So it's kind of cool that it ended up now in my collection. And this is complete. Price chart says it is currently at $150. So not too bad for that. And I'm a huge fan of the Persona series, so I'm really happy to have that. Next one is the most recently released game. And this is actually a sealed game as well. This is Devil's Third for the Wii U. It will not fit in my little shelf here. Hopefully it doesn't fall. It will fall. And now it's all this glare. Alright, Devil's Third for the Wii U. Nintendo fans, people following during the Wii U era of Nintendo will know this game well. It's a bit infamous. This is a game by Valhalla Studios, which is led by Itagaki, who is probably best known, I believe, for the Dead or Alive series. And this was originally going to be published by THQ. I'll put it like that since it doesn't fit. This was originally going to be published by THQ. And THQ went under, and it didn't have a publisher. And for some reason, I don't know what Nintendo saw in this game, but Nintendo published this game. They took it up, picked it up, published it, gave it time and directs and stuff. And the final result of the game was not good. It was very not a good game, very bad game. Apparently, a lot of people liked the online. I remember seeing people that spend like hundreds of dollars in microtransactions on the online store, and people really liked that online. I guess I don't know. There was when the online went down on the Miiverse, there were all these people that are like, "I'll never forget you, my brothers in arms. I'll never forget my comrades and the time we spent. I hope we meet again in another life." And just I was must have created a very tight knit community. And if you ever played this game, if you ever got into it, please let me know. Please let me know what the online community for this game was, because I always found that really interesting. But yeah, not a great game by any means. Not I bought this game. So what happened with this game is when this game released in Europe and Japan. In Japan, it was only released on Amazon, Amazon Japan, if I remember correctly. The game tanked. The reviews were horrible. And Nintendo of America, it was never really confirmed, but reported that it was not going to be brought over to America. A lot of people complained. Nintendo said, "All right, we hear you. We'll get you information." We eventually found out, yes, it is coming. It came a week before. I remember it came out like first week of December of 2015. It came out, I remember, exactly a week before Xenoblade Chronicles X. So I don't know why I remember this. I wish I could actually know useful information instead of failed Wii U games information. But yeah, it released. I think they only released like 3,000 copies at the first print run, and they sold out. There was like a demand. Everyone's like, "What the heck? Why can't I get this game?" And Nintendo eventually reprinted it. That's when I got it. They reprinted it only on Amazon, and it actually stayed up on Amazon for a reasonably long time. Which is weird now because this game is kind of valuable now. This is getting too verbose about it. Terrible, terrible game. I paid $40 for it, and it was doing that thing Amazon used to do where if it's not selling, the price starts going down. So I ended up paying $40 for it. That's when I tapped out, and it sold out pretty soon after that. So $40. I kept it sealed. It's in a case protector, a seal protector, and it's now worth, according to price charts, sealed $146. So pretty crazy, pretty wild. Interesting story about this game. I think this price will probably stay the same, maybe go up. This game's not getting ported to the Switch by any means, so I would not recommend it to play it. I never played it myself, but I had seen plenty of gameplay to realize the game's crap. So just interesting story all around. I probably have more to say about it than most, just because I was actively following games when that game came out, and when everything went down with that. So moving on here, this one's a pretty cool one. This was a Goodwill find. This is a Goodwill that I've never done particularly well at either, but every once in a while I will get some kind of gem pop up in there, and this was no exception. So I head in the Goodwill and see this in with the PS1 games. Klonoa, Door to Phantomile, just mixed in with the CD games, I should say. Or just CDs, I should say. So I obviously picked that one up. It was $3 at the Goodwill. And at the time, it was about maybe a $100 game. And I was pretty stoked to get it. Price Charts now has it at $180. So that's kind of wild. But yeah, this is a really cool game, a really cool platformer. I don't think this gets enough attention when people talk about awesome classic games and awesome PS1 games, because it's a really great game, actually. And you can get it on PS3. I don't recommend, if you're really into collecting, and you want to pay the whole $180 that it goes for complete, by all means, go ahead. But you can get it on the PS3 store, and I believe on the Vita through the PS1 Classics for a couple bucks. And I definitely recommend it for that, to just try it out. They also remade it for the Wii, which didn't sell very well. So maybe one day that will be on this list in the future if I ever do another one of these. So moving on then from that, let me get up to speed here. I did this slightly out of order. I was trying to go in order of value, but I went slightly out of order for a second. So this one's worth a little less than Klonoa, but still an interesting find and an interesting story. This is Xenosaga III, which on its own is a pretty pricey game, but this is a lenticular cover variant. I believe it was a pre-order bonus at Best Buy or some kind of Best Buy exclusive. I know Best Buy was involved somehow. So this came up in an auction on eBay with a lot of other PS2 RPGs. I think the other two Xenosagas were in there. This was 2013, probably. But I think it was before I was making videos. I think the other Xenosagas were in it. I know Dragon Quest VIII was in it, and probably I think Kingdom Hearts or something. A couple, some solid RPGs, and I was just starting. I just got a PlayStation 2 at a garage sale because I never had one before. Something just fell over. I just got a PlayStation 2 at a garage sale. I never had one before, so I was trying to explore the library, and I'm big into RPGs. So I get this lot on eBay, or I see it. I think Dark Cloud was another game in that, but I digress. And it was really cool to see just for the fact of, I remember in the listing thinking like, that Xenosaga cover is kind of weird. There's something about it. And I was like, oh, I think that's the lenticular cover. And there wasn't much information about it at the time. But I was like, man, that's a really good deal. So split everything up. I might have sold some stuff from that lot because I already had it. My records say that I paid $23 for this. And right now it's going for $175. So pretty cool, pretty obscure find. Pretty interesting. And yeah, I did go a little bit out of order with values, but we're just talking. We're just having discussion. Next one up here is the most I've ever spent for a game. And I did a pickup video on this when I got it. But yeah, this is the most I've ever spent for a game, a single game. This is Revelations Persona, the first game in the series. I remember, I don't remember, but back in the day, they were trying to release the Persona series or the Shin Megami Tensei. I think they tried to do it as Revelations, and they had a couple Game Boy games with that name as well. But this is the first game. It is like a first-person dungeon crawler. It has very little in common with what we know Persona as now. And I wouldn't say it's even a very good game, but it's something I want to add to the collection as a huge fan of the series. This was at my local game store for $150, and when I saw it in there, I went home, I grabbed a box of just thrown together trade stuff that at doubles I had. I always have a trade box going. I always have a box with just random stuff in it that is to get rid of. And I got $40 out of that, so I paid $110 cash for this. The most I've ever spent on an individual game is $110. And I grabbed this in great shape, in complete. Price Charts has it listed right now at $197. And, just remember, those prices always change. I'm not too hung up on the prices, but it's always fun to think, you grab a game for a good price and just see, oh man, I paid $3 for Klonoa and now it's worth $180. That's crazy. That's more of the mindset. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to, show wealth flaunt. I hate that crap. So moving on here, this is an interesting one for a system I don't really collect for because I don't really have too much stuff for it. This won't fit for sure. This is Shining Force CD, and it is in excellent condition. This showed up at a game store I know the guy in there. He's a really nice guy. I don't really like this store too much. I mean, I like him. I think he's a nice guy, and he always is cutting me good deals on boxes and stuff. But I think that their inventory is a little lacking. If you were to know the area, you'd know that there's no other game stores in the area. So this is about it for game stores. But I think their inventory is lacking and their prices are really all over the place, which can sometimes be good, like in the case of this, and sometimes be bad. But this one showed up in there for $50 at their store. So I nabbed that, knowing that that's a good price for this game, $50. Currently, it is at, according to Price Charts, $199, so about 4 times what I paid for it. I think it was about $150 at the time. So really good find there, and just kind of a fun story. I could tell a variety of stories of great deals I got from that guy at the store. He sold me the box for Super Mario RPG, I think for $2 or $3, box and manual. Crazy stuff there. So, I'm not crazy about the store, but he's a good guy, always willing to cut me some deals. And then last, my most valuable game. This one has a caveat, so my price is down a little bit low for this one. But my most valuable game is the original Mega Man in the box on NES. if you can tell by my icon, I'm pretty into Mega Man. This Mega Man, this is the original release with the bad box art, which is glorious. That box art's so bad. What about that is Mega Man in any way? So good. So this showed up in one of the chains of my local game store. It's a chain, and this showed up in one of the ones about an hour away from me. And I actually got a picture of all things. My dad's friend texted a picture of they had their case of good stuff there. He texted it to my dad. He was like, "Hey, I'm at this exchange," and he just texted a picture of their expensive games one. And he showed me the picture, and I spotted this in there. I believe at $75, marked at $75. So I actually went to my local store and said, "Hey, can you have them send that down?" I think I paid like $2 they shipped it down. They brought it down to my local store, so I didn't have to drive all that way. And so I paid $75 plus whatever I paid for them to bring it down, their transport fee. And I actually sold my cartridge, I think, for like 50 or so. I sold the cartridge for what the cartridge was going at the time, which I believe is 50-ish. So, I probably only have about $30 to $35 into this game. And the caveat with this one is that it doesn't have the manual. So I'm out on the lookout for that manual. So the price charting for the game is at about $245. I took off $35 that the price charting says the manual is worth. So at $210, it's worth. My only game worth over $200. There's a couple that are close, but that's my only game worth over $200. So really cool, and that is at the moment my most expensive game. So yeah, just kind of discussion. Love to hear what your guys' most expensive games are, and if you got some really great deals on them, like you got an insane find or something, please leave that stuff in the comment below. I always like reading that stuff and finding out about other people's finds. And once again, I just want to reiterate, this is not trying to brag. I don't really care what people think about on the internet about my video game collection. There's more important things in the world. So yeah, I just wanted to, just get that out there. More so at a thing of, there's still deals to find out there. I know a lot of people said you're not finding deals in this day and age, but all these deals, most of these deals were found within the last 2 to 3 years, and all of them were found within the last decade since game collecting has got more popular. So a lot of people like to say that you can't find deals, but I think that's just wrong. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at ObjoGaming. I'm also at ObjoGaming on Instagram, which I don't use that much, but I'm planning on starting to use that one more. So follow me over there. I'm going to try to get into that one more. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below, like I said, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I will see you next time.